It's another episode of 2 Drink Minimum, recorded here in the Fridge Quarter, just next to Mortal Machine Gallery, which is owned by this man, Gabriel Schaefer. My name is Chris True. Gabe, who are these 2 gentlemen we have sitting with us tonight?
We have with us today 2 luminaries of Pop-Surrealism. We have, just to left me, Anthony Ausgang, and then we have KRK Ryden here with us today, who are both artists that are in our current show that's hanging at the gallery, Pantheon. Yeah.
So this is the show that you have been setting up. It's been going on all weekend, Halloween weekend here in New Orleans.
Correct, yeah. I started working on this show a little over a year ago. It's kind of like what I refer to as like a bucket list show, which means that it's a show that is, very much more of like a personal pet project, meaning that it's work that I personally love the most, and it's artists that are either like my heroes or folks that, have been a part of the first, I would say, like 2 generations of artists that Juxtapose magazine really helped expose to the world. So it's a good mix of like legends that are from Pop-Surrealism and Lowbrow, for sure, yeah.
And high fructose?
And high fructose, for sure, yeah, of course, yeah, for sure. But, where my brain starts is with Derek Hess giving me my first copy of Juxtapose, and that just changed my life, man.
Was that the Juxtapose with my brother's art on it?
Of course, yeah. Camille was in it. This was probably 2000.
Yeah.
Was when I got a copy of it, yeah. So, yeah, all the it had Camille, Tara, I remember seeing Clint Barr. I remember seeing, it was, actually, I'm pretty sure your work was in there too, Anthony, during that phase too.
You guys were just called luminaries and heroes within 30 seconds of this podcast starting.
I'm feeling it so much.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was before, but now it's legit.
Hey, I'll take that.
That's sweet. That's sweet. I can't wait to learn more about you two and what you each do and about the show out with this weekend. This is still a world I'm getting to know on my end. But Anthony, how's your time in New Orleans treating you so far?
Oh, it's great, man. We're having a good time everywhere, bon temps, and enjoying looking at Blue Dog Gallery over there, because one of my very favorite things about art is that I like to criticize and make fun of bad art.
Let's go.
I mean, I don't like people to compliment everything. So KRK and I went down and just the Blue Dog a little bit earlier.
Okay. Did you diss it from a distance?
It's a tradition.
Pardon?
Did you diss it from a distance, or were you within the building?
No, we just did it through the window.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember.
It was late enough.
Too homogenized, too commercial. That damn dog.
Tell us
See it
about it,
everywhere.
baby.
This is the first time I've been in New Orleans, and I've wanted to be here all my life. Maybe I'll live here. It's fucking so awesome.
First time here?
Yeah. I feel this is the first place I haven't felt really abnormal.
Hey.
Right on.
Well,
Anthony, how about you? How many times have you been here now?
I've been here a lot of times. I grew up in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
So we would take a drive over here every now and again. But I came out here for a show at a couple of the galleries 5 or 6 years ago. It's good to see New Orleans is still hitting it hard, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, I grew up here, and I remember when we would first start traveling, we would go to Houston. I'd be like, "Oh, this is what a real city is."
Oh.
In terms of just big and things are everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I think New Orleans is not a real place, and I mean in the most complimentary way.
You got it.
But I remember Houston was the first time. I was like, "Oh, this is what it's like when there's a big place that has one of everything." I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Only thing I think Houston doesn't have is a soul, and New Orleans definitely is all on soul. Right?
Well, to be clear, that is what I was getting at too. I'm not over here standing for Houston, but yeah, good for you that you found New Orleans. I like that.
I was not aware that New Orleans was so art gallery, or so many art galleries. I thought, the general, attitude is just jazz, and terraces,
Yeah.
But, man, the art galleries are the best I've ever seen too.
Well,
really.
wow.
Really?
What a compliment.
I've seen a lot of them.
That's kind of you. Yeah.
They're really unique, and they aren't. The art is not homogenized and trying to appeal to buyers like lawyers and doctors and shit.
Yeah, okay. I want to know more about that because I think one of the interesting things that we try and do on this podcast is merge these worlds together. We always Gabe and I are always talking about things that make New Orleans uniquely New Orleans. We're also trying to be an access point for people who don't live in New Orleans but who love New Orleans. I want to know more about what made you say what you just said. Like what is it about New Orleans that makes it a better art city than most?
The cheese grits.
The cheese grits.
It was really great. I didn't know grits could taste so fucking good.
And they are serving them at art galleries here.
That'd be a good slant.
Okay. Art gallery / diner.
Yeah, I'm changing up our whole opening reception apparently now. I'm doing it wrong with the PBR. Yeah, cheese grits at the next one for sure.
Yeah. Turns out the mortal machine was an oven the entire time to cook the grits.
So your question was what is unique about this art or something that's real appealing?
Yeah. What makes just to be even more like bird's eye view? What makes someone like you come here and say this is a good arts town?
Well, there's more galleries per capita. Like every other building is a gallery. I've never seen any area so condensed of galleries. Maybe San Francisco, but not nearly as much.
Maybe Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. I don't know. I haven't been there that much to make a call. But yeah, just the kind of art is really great. Every piece that you have in your gallery is just fucking unique, really great. I really did. I was going to take a picture of every piece to show my brother and stuff.
Oh, I appreciate
really
that.
Great, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Anthony, do you agree with that? What's your take on New Orleans as an art city?
Well, what I find the most interesting about the art in New Orleans is that it seems to be a big tourist attraction, right? We're walking around Jackson Square, right?
Yes.
And there are people selling paintings, naive artists, even though they have a website, they're still calling themselves naive. But it's interesting to see like tourist stuff that is paintings. Like I live in LA, in Hollywood, you go on Hollywood Boulevard, nobody's selling paintings.
Well, you can take a picture with Spider-Man, though. Can't you?
Yeah, that's the most artistic.
Yeah.
And it is just some guy named Hank in a Spider-Man suit.
Yeah,
It doesn't fit him anymore.
I don't want to get groped by Spider-Man.
And actually, you can do that here in New Orleans.
Yeah, you could definitely get groped by Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, I don't need to do that here, right? I can do that at home. But seriously, I do like the fact that the street art, it's not just graffiti, it's also actually people, selling paintings on canvases in the street. And I dig that. There seems to be a kind of loose New Orleans style. It's all got jazz references, but it's all kind of like expressionistic, right?
Yeah.
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 A little bit of folk touch, I think.
Oh yeah, folk is much. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Folk.
Yeah.
Impressionism seems to be kind of a buzzword in the art world now, because it's like they're kind of impressionism. Yeah, that's what I do because it's kind of rough and sloppy. So call it.
Would you mean?
I don't know.
I always tend to also equate texture with impressionism as well. The texture is going to be that much more apparent.
Yeah.
Rough,
Yeah.
broader strokes.
Yeah.
It's like all power chords.
Yeah. It just seems I see a lot of that word impressionistic, and it seems like a lot of people are just discovering what that means. So they're like
They aren't
using
referring
that
to
as
Monet.
buzzword. What?
They aren't referring to Monet.
No.
Yeah, they're more. I think in
Yeah.
their brains, they're thinking more Basquiat era.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is to me that's a little bit more depressionistic.
Well, I've been depressed ever since you mentioned cheese grits 5 minutes ago. Because I haven't had cheese grits in a minute. Where did you have these?
At what the hell's the name? The Slipper.
Ruby Slipper.
Ruby Slipper.
Okay.
But-
The impressionist painting of New Orleans restaurants.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that make sense to me?
I like where you went there.
Okay.
No, I see what you're doing. I like
Okay.
this. Yeah.
But we had to wait the longest
You sure did.
time, 2 hours,
Well, yeah, baby, it's a busy weekend.
because it's really popular.
We should have gone to one of their other 47 locations
Well,
in a 5-block radius.
oh yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. How could I forget about all 47
The
locations
Starbucks of New Orleans breakfast.
next to Willie's?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
No, you brought up a game. You brought up an interesting point about Basquiat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it seems to be like sort of a starting point for a lot of the naive or street artists
Yep.
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting.
I mean, I'm really lucky because I got raised right in the middle of Southern and Appalachian folk when it was at its like golden age in terms of the 80s on into the early 90s, because my mom is and has been a big part of those folks. So whenever I see, Basquiat, my mom's agent, we were lucky enough, I was in West Virginia. Her agent was from Beverly Hills. And so she would bring books and bring like things to the gallery to kind of like educate my mom more and more on what was happening in the art world. And I remember we got a copy of the Radiant Child article when I was a little boy. Was the first exposure to Basquiat, and I couldn't pronounce his name, so I called him Basket Head. But I thought that, like, honestly, Basquiat was the first living artist when I was a kid that I thought was actually like a rock star, like the coolest artist I'd ever seen. So, I definitely, I think I was like maybe 8 or 10 years old the first time I learned about Basquiat. But
Yeah.
it seems like just like you were, that, as you all know, there are different modes that it seems like there are countless people that seem to just like reiterate these singular artists, like for example, Shepard, or even what your brother has done. Your brother has created careers for multiple dozens of people from
There's
styles. So
a whole country full of Mark Ryden.
yeah, same thing with Basquiat though. I think there's like a million Basquiat artists
Yeah,
right now.
especially like right now. But there's good Basquiat imitators and there's bad ones.
Correct.
Because it looks like the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Just slap some paint
It's
up
fun
there.
too. It's
Little
fun.
graffiti. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
My art isn't that fun.
Your
to
art
do.
involves technique, that's
yeah,
why.
a lot of technique. a lot of
You have to actually think to make sure.
yeah. A lot of 100 thumbnails and then sketches, and then they get transferred onto the painting surface.
I'm curious because I've been aware of your work since 2005. You and I
Really?
actually
No
showed
shit.
together in St. Augustine. You were one.
Oh.
Yep. In my first year of showing art, I ended up showing
At Rob's at Piazza's?
Correct. I showed there in 2005, 2006, and that's when I first got exposed to your work in person, because I think you had the show previous to me. So something I would be curious about is, so that's where my brain starts being aware of your work, and it seems like you have been on a similar trajectory in terms of working within certain reference points stylistically. What I really wanted to know is, did you start in this pulp sort of influenced vein originally, or is that something that you found after experimenting with?
I'll tell you the history. I was when I was like 4 years old, my mom threw crayons in the crib. I started drawing, and the first things I started doing was copies of Van Goghs and stuff. When I was 11 years old, I did my first oil painting. But when I was in high school as a sophomore, I discovered surrealism because my art teacher gave us assignments to do something on these different movements of art, and it was slips of paper picked out of a hat, and I picked surrealism, and I said, "Can I have Renaissance instead?" Because I had no idea what that was. That was '68,
Wow.
So I went to the high school library and started reading about Dali and stuff, and that's never been the same since. That's what did it.
Yeah. Are you between you and your brother? Who's the oldest?
I'm 10 years his senior.
Ah, wow.
Thanks for asking. That's kind of
Yeah.
complimentary.
So you discovered well, you're timeless, baby. So the thing I would say is would you say that did you introduce him to a number of these things? Is
He gleaned the arts kind of without me really realizing it. I left California in '76 and stayed in Madison, Wisconsin until 1980. When I had come back, my brother Mark had just gotten out of high school, and I saw all these paintings in the house, and I didn't even really know he was into art.
Yeah.
And it was just brilliant stuff.
Are either of your parents artists?
No, they just kind of had a creative streak.
Yeah.
My dad was a paint and body man, but he designed a couple of really cool custom cars and stuff. He made this car called the Lincoln Long Bed. He took a Lincoln and stretched it and made a truck bed in it,
cool.
and sold a couple of them to millionaires down south with that big auction thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We took a car, you're saying, and did that?
Yeah. So my
Car
dad was
making?
creative with cars.
Okay, I'm always wondering about what people do with cars. To me, a car is a fixed thing. It's like this is the car. It can only do this. So like when Exhibit pimped his ride and all that, that blew my mind. Stuff like this blows my mind.
Yeah,
That's
he
wild.
was pimping cars way in the 50s. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's really interesting because I think one of the fundamental sources of lowbrow and pop-surrealism is custom cars.
That's what I saw too. Yeah, totally.
And that is a very important element of lowbrow art,
Right.
which basically comes from subcultures like hot rods,
Yeah.
skating,
Yeah.
surfing, stuff like that. So that's really fascinating.
Tattoo
Carlo
culture.
was involved in that.
And we
Custom
were,
culture.
We were trying to remember where we met, and it was probably the 01 Gallery when Anthony had a show there, and I was super impressed that you had painted car doors.
Yeah, actually.
And what else did you have at that show?
I had a car in the show.
The whole car was in the middle, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what year was this?
That would be like 95.
01 was kind of, so obviously we know the Lose is one of the first sort of houses to start to expose pop-surrealism and lowbrow to a larger crowd. Was 01, would you say, also one of the original spaces that did this? I know they had Daniel Johnston there. I know there's a number of artists, early foundational artists of this movement.
Yeah.
But I just realized that that 01 was actually
It was
the
just
foundation.
real clandestine, kind of cool, the cool gallery for people in the know to go. I met Timothy Leary there even.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kind of.
Well,
Where was
this? 01
The
had its
01
first-
Gallery.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, where was that?
The 01 had its first show in 79.
Whoa.
And Billy didn't open up La Luz until 96.
Oh, wow. So 01 arguably.
So 01, this place, 01 was a gallery in Hollywood. They got their start by using art as an excuse to have after hours closed. They would say it's a private opening. You had to be a member. Once you got into the art show, you got to, which opened at, 2 a.m., then you could stay all night and drink without, and didn't have to worry about getting busted by the vice because it was supposedly a private party. And, so that was great because people, as this guy probably knows, if you liquor people up, they will buy art. So, why not
And
add
that's why New Orleans is a great art city.
That's right.
What's the secret sauce?
So like, I had 5 daiquiris, so I won a picture of the cathedral.
Yeah, exactly.
I had 3 hand grenades, so I will buy.
Clearly, I drank too much because I'm buying this blue dog painting.
Do you do you know the story about Charlie, the guy, the watchman for the 01?
Oh, yeah, the guy who was
and
curly.
Curly,
Yeah.
Curly, and
Yeah,
the ghost
Curly.
sighting thing. He saw a ghost there or something.
Well, the art dealer, okay, so the art dealer around the place was named John Pokna.
That's right.
And Pokna was always on the lookout for any kind of gimmick at all, right? So at one point he hooked up an artist who had painted clothing by famous people. So he had a dress that was worn by Rita Hayworth in the movie Gilda. And the artist just put in a 5-gallon bucket of paint, pulled it out, let it dry, hung it on the wall. And it sold, right? And it sold. So the people who had bought this Rita Hayworth dress sat down to watch the movie Gilda, and the dress never showed up in the movie. Right? It was just an outtake. It never made it into the movie. So they sued the art dealer, and the only defense that John Pogna, the art dealer, had was to get his janitor to go on some TV show. I think it was a current affair or something weird like that, and say that he had seen Rita Hayworth's ghost in the gallery, who had actually painted it instead of the artist. And
Rita Hayworth's ghost painted it.
yeah.
Yeah. That's some art dealer shit right there.
Yeah, it wasn't a current affair. It was one of those 80s, dumb.
Wow, I love that.
So anyway, but the main swindler in that gallery was a guy named John Pokman.
I met him. He came to the booth at the LA Art Fair when I was working for Red Truck my first few years of curating. And he definitely had that, because you learn, just like you learn from other artists as you're coming up that you meet along the way, a similar kind of dark science operates with art dealers, and you'll end up encountering various gallery owners and dealers, and you can tell from various conversations how dark their magic actually is. Bob, actually, Robert Williams has given me some of the greatest stories about Tony Shafrazi, and he would always end each story with, Now that's a fucking art dealer. You think you can do what that guy does? Like, I love that story about Rita Hayworth's ghost. That sounds great. Yeah. That's admirable.
Well,
Good pivot.
Curly lived at that gallery. That was like his payment for watching the gallery, right?
He was the janitor. He was the caretaker. He was like the shit worker there. But yeah, which is weird because he became a celebrity. He got 3/4 of a page obituary in the New York Times.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I mean, what John Faulkner was a weird art dealer, but he could pull stuff like that off. He got his janitor 3/4 page.
It's a sign of a good art dealer. Whether they're good at art or not, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Effective art dealer, I should say. Yeah.
So what other cities do you think come close to New Orleans in terms of being this type of art energy, in y'all's opinion?
Well, L.A., Hollywood has really good stuff, but I think it's a tie between Hollywood and San Francisco, but I don't know New York, so maybe it's New York, but
Okay.
I've only been there one time, so.
Am I right in saying, though, that the thing that seems magical about New Orleans is that regular people are buying art versus only really wealthy people?
I think it's a combination of the both. I
Okay.
think that's what has it going.
Okay.
It's like both classes.
Yeah, it's all classes actually.
The people, so I live in the French Quarter as well as Gabe, and the people that I see walking around carrying art that they bought while they were here on their way to the hotel room or whatever, I'm always so impressed and blown away. I'm like, it's so sweet to me. I just feel like that's not normal.
You're talking about this combination of drinking and buying art. I have worked at the Warhol Gallery in San Francisco, one of the biggest art gallery that was there for a while. I worked for Old Man Pogna, and he had, it was like 4 stories at one time, just really highbrow art. He was a friend of Escher. You see Escher, all the Eschers there and stuff like that. But he had this whole area that was just, kind of a square in the middle of the gallery, and he had just crates of wine, and he just sauced everybody up. That was his MO for selling art. It was an important part of the.
I mean, it is a lot.
routine.
I told a certain art fair owner last year, he was asking me about my sort of observations of the fair that year. I was like, people were not drunk enough on VIP night. I was like, where was the booze, bro? I was like, they're normally a little bit more sauce. So I was like, that was the main problem with your VIP night. That's why it didn't click. And he's like, oh, we were going to space the bars here and here and here. I was like, oh, that's why it didn't work well.
So it's like a wedding. It's like you go to a wedding with
Yeah. Except
wedding
we don't all
sucks.
Yeah, we end up dancing afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you brought something up that I thought was really key there when you were talking about the foundation of, lowbrow and pop-surrealism being sourced from hot rod culture, sourced from skate culture, sourced from surf culture, tattoo culture,
Big Daddy Rock
as well. So exactly.
Yeah.
Which of course, Robert Williams was his assistant for so long too.
Yeah.
Now, Anthony, were you connected? Would you say when you were like, is that an influence on your work, or is that something that's because have you always been kind of California based? You said you're Houston, but how long have you been in California?
I moved to LA in 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hot rods in that culture was really it was integral to being an American youth in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Hot rods and that kind of stuff. So it just made sense to me. That was just my inspiration, and I was doing work that related to these things. And it was hard to find other artists who had the same influences,
Mm-hmm.
But that was nice. One thing I wanted to respond to you about New Orleans is, with the advent of the internet and it seems like it's really hard to find a regional style of art. Regionalism is something that's on the way out. It's almost like international style, and the art that I see in New Orleans seems to have a style to it that I think is kind of almost regional. And in terms of cities that are similar to New Orleans, I would say Portland in a way. The art in terms of the art.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we're dealing with an art scene that's outside of a major metropolitan center, right? And that always changes things a little bit. So
It's-
I would
Portland's-
say Portland is probably
Portland's
closest.
like it. It's just more stretched out, you know?
Yeah.
Less galleries per capita.
But the vibe is kind of the same.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They do have more strip clubs per capita than anywhere else, though.
Yeah.
Although I would
And
argue
book clubs, though, Portland.
we have the best strip clubs.
Well, Portland.
Okay, Gabe.
Why am I
I gotta promote the girls here, man. Come on.
Portland's got a lot of fire bombs and chaos going on, so you got to, move in between all that.
Sure, yeah.
galleries, it's hard.
People in frog
hard.
costumes.
Yeah, and the frogs. You got to jump past the frogs.
Yeah.
and see the art.
It's dangerous in Portland.
So
I don't know why that's so funny. Well, so where, and each of you kind of like answer this on your own here and choose who goes first, but where would you say was the moment that you were like, oh shit, I have an art career going now?
Well, my parents asked me, I was the firstborn of 5 kids, so for 5 years, my parents just, asked me what I want to be when I grow up. And at first it was a carpenter, and after a while, I really, wow, an artist, you can, make money doing that, So about 10 years old, I wanted to be an artist, but I started doing art a lot earlier. The first oil painting I did when I was 11, I sold a portrait to somebody.
You sold a painting at 11?
Yeah, I did murals in the living room before then,
Cool. Your
Yeah.
parents let you do murals in the living room?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is a cool as shit parent story.
Yeah, totally.
It's one of the. I love hearing stories about parents.
You want to tell me the story about my brother Mark's mural work? So he's 5 years younger than I. So when he was, my brother will hate me for this, but his first
Yeah, let's
his
get the
first
good stuff out. Let's go.
His first artwork was smearing shit on the wall next to his crib, And,
Literal shit.
yeah.
Bingo.
And so that lasted for a while, and my parents moved the crib away to the middle of the room, but he would rock the crib to the wall and finish his masterpiece.
Man had a vision.
That's impressive.
I think it's a
So his
Anecdote.
first piece of art was,
works in sepia.
and his second piece was also number 2. But sorry, it took me a minute to get there, and I want to apologize to everybody. It was clunky. I tried my best.
Shitty joke.
Yeah, it was not great. It was not great. That is a really good story, though. I like that.
Wow. Yeah, thousands and
I
thousands.
know, that's why I knew I had to tell it eventually.
Yeah, well, it's already been clipped out and posted separately from this. So
Yeah.
shout out to Mark.
Yeah.
Just so all those thousands of big eye imitators now can be like painting with their own shit on the walls too at this moment.
I might start a movement, the magic ball movement.
How about you, Anthony? Where would you say was the moment where you realized that oh wow, here I am. I guess I have an art career.
And does it involve your shit?
No, not my shit. But if we're gonna okay, let me add a coda to KRK before I answer that question. Robert Williams is this great painting where he said that the first art ever was a caveman wiping shit off his fingers on the wall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wiping his ass and then
Wow.
scraping it off. So those were the first cave paintings,
Later.
And if you're going to trace the roots of Lowbrow, you can trace Lowbrow all the way to
The
back.
lowest.
Well, really, graffiti even, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
The first mural was our shit on his cave wall. Wow. Damn, that's great. It's like Count Basie talking about first time that man figured out how to play music was when they were chasing antelopes and they heard their own heartbeat, and that was the first drum.
Whoa,
Oh, that's cool.
That's nice. That's
That
nice.
just reminded
Who
me.
said that?
Count Basie.
Count Basie, yeah.
Well, I guess basically making art was just a hobby until I sold something. Then it became a career. Selling art is when everything changes.
Yeah.
Right. And so the first time I sold a painting, it was when I realized that I had something to offer that people were interested in, and they were willing to part with their cash.
When was that?
Oh, I was still painting under my real name then, man.
Oh, you've got a moniker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll save my real name for another part.
That's exciting.
What was the album cover that kind of put you on the map, that rap band?
Oh yeah, no, I did. I did artwork for the band MGMT.
MGM.
That's
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So, but really, like when everything changed from being just kind of a funny hobby, telling chicks, hey, come up and see my etchings, to get laid. And all of a sudden I found out, yeah, I can make money off of art and pay my rent. That was, that's a big moment, right? And any artist, it's a great quest. Like, what was the first guitar you sold?
That painting that I sold when I was 11, the oil painting of a ballerina of this lady, but nothing happened really till my one-man show in San Francisco called Art for Mutants, and that was 2000.
Wow.
I probably sold stuff before then, but not in gallery shows.
Yeah. What did you sell your first painting for?
Oh shit, I don't remember. Oh man, I don't remember when I sold any painting over 1,000. The first one, and it's probably fairly recent. I don't know.
When you sold that first painting when you were 11, can you recall? I know it's thinking back a ways, but can you recall the sense of excitement that you?
I remember really well.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I oil painted. I got so filthy with oil paint, I had to take 2 baths to get it off, as the bath was just black with paint, And this painting that I did for this lady, she gave me a photograph to copy, her daughter, and she was pleased with the painting, but she was pissed off because I destroyed the photograph. I kind of thought that, this is just reference.
Yeah.
It was ephemeral. You don't have to worry about it. But I remember. Yeah, I was really happy. Those things really, is momentum to have you going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like approval.
Do you still get thrilled every time you sell a painting?
Yeah, because then I can pay rent.
Yeah, I hear you on that, baby. Yeah.
The moment you make money doing art feels like like there's no turning back, or hopefully there's no turning back. It's addicting, right?
It is addictive.
Yeah.
It's definitely addictive.
But I started my band, Ken the Magic Corner God, kind of really made me think about music a lot. And last year I recorded my band in Flint, Michigan, and I got some CDs. I didn't bring them over, but that flavors my creative side.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And I met Mark Mothersbaugh in 1980. I did a project called The Brainwasher. He saw a poster I did when I lived in Encinitas, and knowing him is really a big influence. He turned me on to things like the brush pen. Brush pen is a really real, stylistic, way to do art, and that was like 81 or 82. He was a big influence.
Now, when y'all are in the studio, do you work at this point on one painting at a time, or do you have multiple works going at once?
I got 6 going on right now, honestly. We're getting ready for my show called Wet Bread in Portland on March 14th. And I feel it's...
That's at Brasswork?
Yeah, at Brassworks, yeah.
Did you say Wet Bread?
Yeah, that's the name of the show.
That's a crazy name.
Andy Dick liked it. I was hanging with him. He's a crazy motherfucker.
Wet bread is everyone who's really close to me. If you ask them what's my biggest fear, they would say wet bread. Wet bread is one of my biggest fears. I need to go to the show to face my fear and buy your art. Wet bread's tough.
How about you, Anthony? Do you typically work one at a time, or will you have multiples going at once when you're in the studio?
No, I get really obsessed with the pieces that I'm working on. So I usually work on one painting at a time. But while I was working on the painting for your show, I needed to pay off my credit card bill. So while my painting was drying, I would go and work on making these little 5x7-inch ink drawings, and then put them up on Instagram, sell them for $50.
Those were really
And
great.
it was really cool because, I would take my mind off this thing that I was obsessed with for weeks, like the painting, really, I get so involved in that stuff that I get totally into it. It was great to sort of get away from it, do these crazy little drawings that were loose, and people really like those. And my fan base, I should be saying this to my art dealer, my fan base is like, 25 to 35-year-olds can only spend a couple minutes.
That's what I'm looking to develop, though. Yeah, no, that's the audience I'm interested in. Yeah. No, I'm not interested in the ones that the galleries have already blown out. If they want to show up and buy art from us, which they do, that's great. But I'm not trying to hunt the people that have already been sold to. It's like you guys have seen 2001, so I look at certain aspects of the art world, like that scene with the watering hole and the Neanderthals surrounding them. So those Neanderthals are the blue chips, and that watering hole is the very few boomers that are still collecting and the very few Gen Xers that haven't blown out their collection. What I'm looking at is transforming and educating millennials and exciting them, and transforming and educating Gen Z kids so that they can gain an appreciation. Which I actually think the art that you folks have been a part of, like developing in such a huge way, connects even stronger to younger audiences than even the folks that are of these older generations.
Totally, that's a great observation. And I think at a certain point, every artist faces a generational gap, and you got to be able to leap it somehow,
Yeah.
And that worked out for me by doing artwork with this band called MGMT. All of a sudden, I managed to vault over this gap in generations, where all of a sudden people, in high school were suddenly turned on to my work. But to clarify earlier, I've sold to celebrities and stuff too, of course, man. But, I in a weird way, I sell like a painting. Nick Cage is cool, but I also find like selling it to a little painting to some kid who's in high school and, Poughkeepsie or whatever. That's also rewarding because they love it.
I mean, I think that it's always, that's what you want and that's one of the things I enjoy so much about selling art, is to be able to not just kind of be a part of guiding the connection between a person and an object that, almost like a love. It's witnessing that connection, and there are multiple times throughout a year where, a lot of folks will ask, well, what's the secret to selling art? And I would say that one of them is actually knowing that the object knows where it's going before you do. Your job is simply to make sure that when that moment is there and that object is found, the person that's going to take them home, that they have the proper connection so that they can facilitate that.
Totally.
Because just as being an artist, I realized that when I would sell my paintings and I would hear these stories from the people that would buy them, and there's no way I could have planned ahead of time these specific connections and these specific associations that these folks are having with something I never met them before. But you see that it's magical, right? And you see that going on over and over and over again throughout art. And like you're saying there, I mean, we sell to some pretty famous people too, but I feel like that's cool, but then it's super cool just seeing that love being ignited in somebody when they really care about this object that that someone else cared about enough to spend the time and put their life force into it. Yeah.
My age base got younger when I started selling art through Instagram. They call it Instagram art, and they're like 20 to 30. I'm 72, but I don't think there's many older people buying that stuff because of the basic age that Instagrammers are.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to fall back on this term. Well, actually, I'm going to use this term. They prefer impressionism.
Yeah.
And I would say, at best, abstract expressionism is something that the majority of those folks can connect with. In that particular, like you were saying, generational gap, which I think was really important there, because the artists that are present of that age are actually probably a generation or two ahead of the audience that's truly going to appreciate what they do. Since you connected with Dali was so far ahead. All the surrealists were so far ahead at the time. Yeah.
Well, I hope our audience appreciates this conversation, because I know I just learned a lot. I love hearing y'all talk about this stuff. I love the dialogue about turning on newer people to art. That seems like a really fascinating way of looking at it, because I feel like people, as they get older, they get less curious. The non-artists of the world, they get less curious, and you start to die faster and faster, right?
I can't disagree
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's really
Yeah.
cool the discussion about instilling this curiosity in young buyers, and it's like it's good for the business that you guys are all in.
You
It's
get
also
more-
good for the world.
You get more curious if you're older and have a lot of money to invest, and you think of it as investments, you know?
Yeah.
And they're buying multi-million-dollar pieces of Christie's. And then, you know, it's hard to tell how much they like that art, or it's just all just investment thing.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to note that the kind of work that KRK and I are doing, which is called Lowbrow or Pop-Surrealism, particularly Lowbrow, was the first art that young people were really into. So we kind of had to create our own scene,
Yeah.
like punk rock, like DIY, you know?
Yeah.
I always felt that the Sex Pistols were rebelling against bloated Fleetwood Mac, you know, and in a way, people like KRK and I were rebelling against, you know, Nagel or just the Southern California light and space artists, even the abstract expressionists.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and art it was fascinating because in a way we made art cool to younger people, and there wasn't art available to like younger people then. It was like either parents' art or our friend Picasso or a refrigerator magnet, and it really, I think to this day, you know, we are responsible for helping create a youthful art market for this kind of work.
Yeah, there are so many millennial and Gen Z artists right now that they are discovering it, but I would say that there's a number of them that actually are not as aware of how crucial a very specific era of what I would say is predominantly Southern California artists, although some folks were living in New York at the same time too. You know, it literally, when you're saying that, it's giving me the flashback of that first time I ever flipped through that juxtapose and I saw your brother's work and I saw Camilo Reyes Garcia and I saw Liz McGrath and I saw Jeff Soto and I saw Glenn Barr and I continued to just, you know, Ron English, like everyone, on and on and on. And I remember just being overwhelmed with like, how the fuck did I not know about this art? And thinking to myself, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in art. And I grew up around art my whole life, you know? So I would say that absolutely the lowbrow artists are probably, I mean, first of all, you guys are the first real American art movement in a lot of ways, because all the other movements before us were influenced by Europe or places from other things. You guys are very close to more of an American art movement.
Juxtapose really crystallized the look. If it wasn't for them, I don't think it would be really a different thing.
Totally agree.
You know,
100%.
And then High Fructose, my friend Attaboy, and his wife.
Yeah, they've carried on the torch.
Yeah,
and
and
because
did
Chuck's
it better.
changed so much. Like
Yeah.
15 years ago, it decided to
Now
also
they-
go against
They're
what it
gone,
actually was
now
about.
they're gone
Yeah.
completely. And Attaboy
Yeah.
and High Fructose, they're
Yeah,
in.
fructose is the present day.
That's
without
it.
question.
You know,
without
there's-
question. Yeah, Jux to me died 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. And then they died literally.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Kate, this was this was a massive learning experience with two behemoths of the art.
I had a feeling this would be a fun combo.
This was really fun, and
Yeah.
I feel like I like to think our audience learned something every time, but I feel like they may have learned more on this episode than, no offense, but all the other episodes combined.
Yeah,
Maybe? I don't know.
there was a lot to. Yeah, art nerds are gonna love this shit. Yeah,
This was really cool. I feel very grateful that I got to
You
soak
think
up
we can
all
make a
this.
lot of money off of it?
You know what, guys? I think you should keep going.
yeah. We'll have to
So
bring me back for the sequel.
DVDs, put music in the background and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, fellas, for taking the time to speak with us. Thank you so much for making the trip to New Orleans for the show.
Right.
We're really grateful and honored to have you be a part of it. And I've already told everybody we're probably planning another Pantheon in 2 years, so we'd love to have you back.
In 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been a great joy and pleasure to have you fellows here. And
2 years, plenty of time for you to get on that Ruby Slipper waiting list.
yeah, we'll make
never
sure you
get
got your
there
cheese
again.
grits ready next time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Any closing words, Gabe, before we finish this out?
So Pantheon is up until the third week of November. So if you're coming into the French Quarter or into New Orleans, you really want to make an effort to come see this show. I know that I say every show you should see it, but this is a show you really should fucking see, because each artist is very singular, even though they are part of a movement. There's techniques and there are approaches and there are ideas in the show that are, in my opinion, very, very advanced and very, very magical and very, very interesting. I feel like if you walk into our gallery right now and you view this show and you're not at least engaged in some way, shape, or form, you should immediately seek therapy. Because this show is as entertaining and as interesting, I think, as any show that we've ever shown. But if you can't make it, the show is on the website right now, moremachinenola.com. A little over half the show is sold so far, but we do still have some great pieces available. So yeah, definitely check the show out. And obviously, if you don't know about these artists, hopefully this is a rabbit hole for you to go down so that you can just absorb. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you again to our guests.
Yes,
yes, go ahead.
Well, I kind of wanted to mention this thing that's really cool. There's this guy, he was a photographer, Flipside and Maximum Rock and Roll. His name was KRK, like me. And we wanted to do a two-man show. I wanted to do art renditions of his photography. So we want to do somewhere along the line, there's going to be a show called KRK versus KRK.
Cool.
So just something I threw in there.
I like that. Okay, looking forward to that. What you got, Anthony? Close us out.
Oh, I just wanted to add to what Gabriel was saying. The show is selling out, actually. So this is your last up, and the work is going into private collections. And once art goes into a private collection, you can't see it anymore. So this show needs to be seen because, unless you manage to somehow go to some rich celebrity's house, you're not going to be able to see it. So get down there and see the show.
Love that. Love that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to Steve behind the camera. That's Gabe from War Machine. My name is Chris Truce. It's been 2 drink minimum. Y'all know the drill. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. Really, tell 2 friends. Tell 2 friends about this episode today as we continue to grow the audience of this project. And it's all the brainchild of the man behind War Machine.
I want to give a quick congratulations to CM Punk, the current heavyweight champion of WWE. I give a fuck whether you like that or not. I'm just putting that out there.
And if you do like that and you haven't heard us talking about pro wrestling at a very famous Oyster Bar, go dip back in the archives and check it out. See y'all next time. My name is Chris.
Bye,
this
y'all.
is Gabe. This has been 2 Drink Minimum. See ya.
Peace.